All right, so you guys can see the scarf joint, right? That is not what's going on. There's no failure at all in that scarf joint. There's filler right here. See that white spot right there? There's also filler right here. See the white spot? That's all either grain filler or just wood filler. There's another filler spot up here, no big deal. We can sand that smooth and refill it. But the reason this headstock is moving is because of run out. I'll show you. All right, so you can see that little black line there? That's the old paint. I took off the paint on some of the neck so you guys can get a better look at it. But that right there, where the fretboard is glued onto the neck. See that black line? That's paint line. Watch this. Can you see it? Can you see it? Open it. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. I could park my truck in there. Okay. The reason that this is no longer stuck to this is because of something called run out. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. First, let me see if I can light it up with some naphtha. Let's see if it's going to show. Let's get more light on it. Let's get more naphtha on it. I think my naphtha all evaporated. Let's try it. Okay, you can see it really good now. Try to get the glare off of it for you. Okay. Let us, I could enhance it with a pen. Hopefully you guys can see that grain right there. See how the grain comes and runs out. I got a better example for you. Set this down. Get my light back over here. Close my naphtha. Alright. This is a fretboard that I'm working on for another project. It's rough. And look at the grain on that wood. Look at how the grain goes perfectly straight down the length of this wood. See right there? See how that grain runs out? Okay. This is a good piece of wood. Here's another piece of walnut. All right, this is a gorgeous piece of wood all the way up until right there. Okay, see that grain? See how that grain runs uphill like this? And it goes around that knot right there, and then it runs out. And then it runs out. So, this is like a blown up version of what's going on with that neck. Right where that grain runs out, right there is where that fretboard is glued to it, like that. Like that. Okay. Now, where the grain runs off the edge of the wood, think about what I just said. The grain runs off the edge of the wood. That is edge grain. Even though it's in the face of the wood, the grain runs out of the face, so it is edge grain. So you don't want to glue your fretboard to edge grain. And edge grain and run out are the same thing. It just depends on the shape of the wood and where that happens. I have another piece of maple over here. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. See right here? This is run out, run out. So this whole part of this piece of wood is not the best piece of wood to use for something like a headstock. It's right at the edge too. It's right. Get maximum light on it. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see where the grain comes off the edge of the wood right here on this side, right where it opens up. On this side, I'm still not sure if that little black line is a crack. I do not see that opening up at all. But it's got a lot of movement in it. Okay. All right. In order for me to stabilize this headstock, I'm not going to cut it away. I want to preserve as much of the original instrument as I can, but I definitely got to reinforce this, right? If this is going to hang on a wall and be a display, I wouldn't bother. But the owner is a player, right? And even though this has sentimental value, he's going to play it because it's going to be badass. So what I will do is I will run some splines down the back of this scarf, from the scarf up into the headstock. I'll use 2 pieces. I'll probably use pieces of oak, something super, super dense. If I got some nice maple around, I could use maple, but it's got to be a really tight grain. In other words, I want to see a lot of lines in a little space, like this walnut here. See how the grains are really close together? So that would make this really strong. In fact, no, it doesn't. It's not great on this end. Like right after this knot, I've got all this is going to be waste. But it's too loose. The grain is too loose. If it was more like, if it was more tight, like that, I'd probably be able to use it. If it was like that, I'd be able to use it. But we'll see. We'll see what I got laying around. If I gotta go buy something, I'll go buy something. But we're gonna run some splines down the back of this and make it kind of like a laminated neck. I say down the back of it, but I don't mean down the back of it. I mean down the front of it. That's where it seems to be weak. And if I run them down the back, there's the possibility of them expanding and contracting at a different rate than the neck, which is going to cause problems with the finish. Even if I use lacquer, lacquer is going to be a softer, softer than like a poly, but it can open up a crack in the finish right around the spline, and that would be far more obvious back here than it would be up here, because I can hide it under the truss rod cover, I can veneer the headstock. So the spline will be completely buried in the guitar. I'll do one here and one here, depending on how wide that truss rod channel is. It looks like I'll have plenty of room there to do one here and one here. And that'll stabilize this headstock not only this way, back and forth, but also this twist that it wants to have. Remember, you got more tension on your thin strings because they're tuned so much higher. And what that does is you got low tension on this side and high tension on the treble side. So it wants to twist. It wants to pull harder on this side of the headstock than on this side of the headstock. So it wants to twist this headstock. Splines will prevent most of that twisting. You're always going to get some because the headstock is so thin compared to the rest of the neck. It's going to bend somewhere. But I also got something else going on here. Let's see if we can show you guys what that is. Right at the 11th fret, man. This thing is super high right here. When I run this all the way across to where the bridge is, I've got about 1 1/16 inches above the body in here. That's way too much. What that means is the bridge would have to be adjusted up so high that the higher up you adjust these tunumatics, the more movement you get because of the slop in the threads. So you always want that bridge to be sitting down as close to the body as it can without touching. You got to have some down adjustment. I always aim for 1 millimeter down. So in other words, you put the bridge all the way down and then raise it up 1 millimeter. That's going to give you the most thread to thread contact. It's going to prevent your bridge from moving like this. It's just much, much better. If I can straighten the neck so that I can drop that down, that'd be great. If not, the neck is going to have to come off of this guitar, and we're going to have to recut the heel because it's got way too much back angle on it, making the bridge have to sit way, way high up off the body. One of the drawbacks of a tunematic is that the higher up off the body it is, the more unstable it becomes. I'll show you guys on the next vid that I do what it should look like. I've got a couple of Les Paul type guitars that I've built, and I'll show you right now. All right, you can see the action on this guitar. I'll show you the 12th. There's the 12th. See the action on this guitar? And it's so stable. I never have to tune this guitar. And look where the bridge is sitting. The bridge is like not even one thread up off the body. So it gives me super sustain on this and tuning stability. That helps a lot with the tuning stability along with your tuning machines. But you know, that's what it should look like. That guitar is never going to look like this. with the neck sitting in the position that it's in. So we're going to have to pop that off. We are going to have to take the fretboard off in order to put the splines in. But it's not broken. So that's, you know, a big chunk of work that I don't have to do now to make it stable. So we'll show you that as we go. That's all I got for this one.